Peace. All right. Shout out to Phil G. Today's my physical culture equality, which is knowledge out of cipher, or being born of knowledge. I started a new program at the Justice that is geared toward development of new leaders. All right. Shout out to Phil G. The big free equality. That's a question. We're not going to get into that today, but are you culture equality or freedom equality? That's it. We don't want to open up that can of worms right now. Get too many people too excited. Today is the first day I work on my born day in years, but it's peace. I'm about to indulge in a delectable dinner. Yeah, well, that's what I'm talking about. That's what one should focus on doing. Getting the best part. Uh, I don't know. Uh, Wait for a few people to come in before we get down to the nitty gritty of today's live stream. Yes, today, this live stream, I was ready to do it for a while. See what happens with these, sometimes, you have to remind yourself that you're civilized and righteous. It's even if you're new to the knowledge, right? You might be wondering that. You might be thinking, damn, why do you might be wondering if you've fallen short because, sometimes some shit happens, you just want to fuck shit up, you know? And then you have to remind yourself, right, that you're civilized and righteous. Happens to the best daily. Happens to the best. They continue daily, you gotta continue daily. But I can't really tell. See, because I'm keeping the Zoom right now. We got all our equipment and everything hooked up because I keep the Zoom up. I'm waiting for certain people. I'm waiting for certain people to holler at us. I don't know what's going on with them. But what's going on other than that, Phil G? What's the phenomenons there? You know, then that was another thing too. Yesterday we was all prepared to come on, but we had some mixed business to handle. You know, uh, you know, uh, the brothers from Baston. We still brothers, but look at it was either us or y'all. So unfortunately, we had to do it the way we did it. Where's VC Round? Because everyone knows that VC Round is the biggest Knicks fan in that side of the Mississippi. So get VC Round in here because I'm sure he's ready to celebrate. See, he was trying to keep that secret for a while, but cat is out the bag now. Everybody knows. Yo, you know who the wordsmith the wordsmith came up to the school. I saw the wordsmith uh Saturday. You know, he looks a lot better. I got a new endeavor that I'm dealing in musically on the broker side of things, brokering placements for a few producers. You talking about like movies and commercials and stuff like that? Who's Don Bishop too? Uh, he said as well as with major acts. Yeah, but you didn't really tell me. I guess you'll get back to me on that. But hold on for 1 second here, yeah. Because look, this is a little bit of a rant right here. So I'm trying to be in a good mood and everything. But look, like I said, this live, it was like, I was considering it over and over, you know what I'm saying? Because I don't want to. Because see, that's one of the things that happens, right? And I attempt to do that, right? When I have these rants, to structure them in a way where you could just learn the lesson, right? Because stuff like that happens, right? Where you yelling at the people that ain't do, like, look, you got people that get on Facebook and complain about how many people is at the rally, right? But they haven't been to the rally in decades. But for some reason in their mind, they think that the problem is with the people that come to the rally. You got a problem with how many people is at the rally, right? And you think that the solution is yelling at the people who come to the rally. Or you come to the rally and you doing all this yelling about people who don't know their lessons and ain't trying to study. Yeah, well, that's not us. Why don't you go out there in the middle of the projects and yell at the brothers that's doing that? See, you won't do that though, right? You gotta watch these people. So, like I said, I'm gonna try to keep this structured, right, in a way where it's not that I'm talking to y'all, but it is a general thing, right, that I see happening, right, and that's why I titled this one "Men or Mice," right, because I'm starting to see a general pattern, man, of people ducking. I'm starting to see a general pattern of see you're not really who you say you are. And you're not qualified for the position you try to put yourself in. See, because here's the thing, you're not ducking, you're not ducking from the Crips, right? Because they trying to get at you over mistaken identity, right? You ain't ducking the Bloods because they want to stick you up or something, right? In those instances, look, I'll be with you. Why do you want to get into that conversation? Like if you somebody that can produce enough that people want to stick you up, why do you want to get involved with them people that want to stick you up in any capacity? I don't want to be waiting to cross the street. I don't want to be waiting to cross the street on the same corner with that person. But that's not what you ducking. See, what you ducking is the consequences of your own actions. You ducking. See, nobody prompted you to do what you did. Nobody motivated you. Nobody qualified you. Nobody elected you. Nobody was the catalyst. You motivated yourself to roar like a lion. And then now you a church mouse in the house. See, there's something wrong with that. See, that's the thing. See, everybody, look, you the God, right? Nobody can tell you what to do. You self-motivated. You God. You see everything for yourself. Okay, so now that you qualified yourself for that, right? See, one of the things that make a person qualified is they qualify when something goes wrong. See, anybody can sit there and watch a process go past, right? And nothing don't happen. See, like right now, look, it's the playoffs. Everybody could go and make some shots until it's defense on you. Now when something go wrong, so you got to be qualified to break down that defense now for you to really be picked. But no, you didn't. You just jumped out there on the court on your own. And see, here's the thing. What I'm saying. This is the point, man. What I want people to see. So you got to make these people show and prove. See, if I'm not here when they come back from ducking, right? Make sure they show and prove. See, this is the part where when I say when we say the knowledge degree, right? Who's the original man? What make you think we talking about you? See, this is where they got to show and prove. See, because when you the maker and the owner, when you the maker and the owner, right? If you own a car, right? You own it when the engine is humming, and you doing 150 on the highway, but you own it when it catch a flat tire too. See, that's the thing. That's the reason why you got to be where these people and why they got to show and prove. See, because it's easy to be 5% sometimes. See, everybody wanna be 5%, you know what I'm saying, when, you know, everything's flowing and Wu-Tang Records is playing in the background. See, everybody wanna be 5% then. But you don't wanna be 5% when shit hit the fan. And see, that's day to day. Meaning like, look, see, there's people, right? You come to the school, right, and you hang out. You know, it's easy to do that. To come to the school, spark up, you know, kick the willy. You see, if somebody mentioned that, look, this grass out here in the yard is kind of high. See, now you're ready to defer to everybody. Oh, somebody else is the boss of that. See, that's why you got to be aware of these people. You got to be aware of these people who didn't think nothing was going to happen. Then what in the realm of reality, right, made you think nothing wasn't going to happen? Because the only thing I could think of is something that's not in the realm of reality, where you want to walk through the pearly gates and then have everything taken care of by Gabriel and whoever else is supposed to be up there. See, that's the thing. See, everybody wants to know, look, why am I being, I want to do this. I want to do that. Okay, but what you gonna do if it goes wrong? See, because if we can't find you, see now you ducking. Listen, I'm talking about ducking. When you calling people, right, to talk to other people for you. Think about that, G. Think about that for a second. 5%, right? And you want somebody else to be talking for you. See, here's a pattern that I'm seeing that I don't know where the fuck this happens at, right? Where you violate, and then you want to dictate and determine whether or not you violate it, and then you want to dictate the terms and conditions upon which this violation is spoken about and handled. See, you can do anything you want to do, but you got to remember for every action is an opposite but equal reaction. So, are you ready for the reaction? See, like Phil G, you got kids. You got kids. What can we tell them when they reach a certain age? Can't be. That's the word right there. The buck stops with you. That's what it means to be the maker and the owner. Something went wrong, and you start calling other people's names. I'm telling you, oh, listen, that stuff manifests itself. That stuff manifests itself, man, in different worlds in different ways. Think about that. Something went wrong, and you start calling everybody else's name. Yeah, Phil G. Look, they got to handle, not just handle things on their own, they got to handle the consequences on their own. So you could go out there and do whatever you want to do, right? But you better be ready for the reaction. See, that's when we'll see. See, look, anybody can go out there, right? VC realm. Hold on. We gotta stop. We got back up here. Hey, look. Go New York, go New York, go. What about that, VC Round? We balling in what? We balling in what? See, VC Round, y'all, is the biggest Knicks fan that side of Mississippi. So whenever VC Round comes on, see VC Round, I try to tell you people, man, you know, O ye of little faith, O ye of little faith, but look, in your faces, all of you, in your faces. But see, get back to what I'm saying, man, right? You know, uh, you see, and here's the other thing, right? How you know, when you said the hometown hero went down. Nah, I said we was winning. See, this is the hate. You act like when he was in the game, and you act as if we wasn't doing our thing when he was in the game. But I digress. You see, there's something wrong with that, right? There's something wrong with that, right? When you prepared to receive all the glory, but you ain't ready to take none of the responsibility. You see what I'm saying? Like Phil G, the example I was getting ready to give, you see, look, you could say, you're saying, look, you could go out there, right, and you could deal with women, right, if that's what you want to do, right? Now, if 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 one of them get pregnant, you got to be prepared to deal. That's the reaction. That's what happens. That that's what happens, right? Now, in that instance, you going to stand up and be the maker and the owner, or you going to be ducking? See, that's what I'm saying. This stuff manifests itself in ways. See, I mean, look, all this what you're saying, VC realm. Look, I mean, look, because the brother's hurt, I don't want to talk bad about him. He did his thing, 42 points. They lost. See, that's the thing. That's the thing about the playoffs. It don't go by points. It goes by games. So see, theoretically, one team, right? One team could win 3 games by a 20-point margin, right? And the other team, a 20-point margin each game. And the other team could win 8 games by only 2 or 3 points. But they won 4 and the other team won 3. Even though, even though they scored more points. You see how that works? You got to know the rules. You got to know the rules, VC Real. That's the you, you got to know the rules and how these things work, right? Phil G, yeah, that's it. You took your tip, but I'm saying just in general that these is the basic things. That's what I'm saying. When all of a sudden I'm seeing all these people that you don't know what to do, but you don't know what to do after, right? You don't know what to do about what you did. See, that's what a lot of this stuff comes down to in recent times, where people might be like, yo, well, why is this person doing this? Why is that person saying that? You know why? Because they ducking. There ain't no opportunity to address the situation because they ducking. We haven't seen them since before, and we haven't seen them since they did or whatever it is that they did. He said, "It's good luck." Do you mean good luck or good look? Because see, look, I understand. I'm not even mad at y'all. You see what I mean? Because see, we got to write this history for y'all. See, like next year, then they're gonna the things that we do, they're gonna say, look, watch out for the Knicks. Because they get busy with this right here. See, right now, everybody had the narrative, so all this is surprising. It's not surprising to me. Oh, ye of little faith. All right, yeah, see, good look. Now that sounds way better. Yeah, autocorrect is crazy now. I don't know whatever the new artificial intelligence that they put on the autocorrect is trash. I'm telling all of y'all right here on social media, I don't care. Google, you got to strike me, whatever. But y'all need to cut it out with the autocorrect right now. Y'all are ruining conversations. You be pissed off at somebody and the shit put "I love you" or something. you trying to you trying to curse somebody out. the shit is changing. It is changing all your curses to nice words. But I ain't letting these people off the hook though. Let's get back to the people that be ducking. Because see, I'm gonna tell you something, and I seen this in my time, right? Well, look, not too long ago, right? It was a brother. I seen him again after mad years. I seen him since I was a young guy, right? So see him say, "Oh snap, man, peace, man. That's your name." When you say, "Kid, man, I used to kid, man. I remember you when I was a young guy and shit." You know what I'm saying? Woo, woo, woo. So we just was kicking it, right? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? What's the phenomenon until somebody says that, yo, you know that uh the reason he hasn't been around, right, is XYZ like this. There was a reason for that. You know, but I didn't even know about this thing that happened. I didn't even know about this thing that happened, right? Which I was around, and I vaguely recall the science of it, but I didn't really know his interaction with it. So then when he came back though, right, there was brothers there that was like, nah, yo, listen, G, you know, what happened with that science? Mr. Greenwood, I think the Wolves versus the Knicks would be poetic. That's personally, I think the Wolves versus the Knicks, that would just be uh, first of all, the old teammates, the old teams, and then the trade. It's the general managers against the general managers too. Like that would be a battle on every level, right? Which general manager won this trade right here? But at any rate, you know what I'm saying? That's what I'm. Now look, this is another thing that happened, right? A brother walks up to us, right? It's Saturday. So he walks out, me and a couple of brothers is building. So he says peace. And then the next thing he says is he's if the Knicks lose to the T Wolves, so what you think? What you think? Rudy Gobert's about to drop 50 in the car? You think Rudy Gobert's about to drop 50? Listen, man, I'm trying to be serious now, man. Go ahead with that clown stuff. You know what I'm saying? Uh, so he walks up, right? He says peace. And then the next thing he says is, I'm real good at violence. So, at first when he says that, it's kind of like, but I let him continue. I let him continue. he's rambling on for a minute until there's a pause. He pauses. He pauses, right? I said, the day Supreme Mathematics. So he says, no, I do not. Right. So we walk away from him. Right. Because it's like you've been running your mouth all this time, you've been up here, right? We we walk away from him. When we walk away from him, then he says, see, y'all trying to shame me. But if I bet if something was to go down, nothing, nobody do nothing to whatever he says, right? And it's kind of like that's what you came over here for. See, that's what I mean. Now look, he had came and he was because and look, this is why it was important. Why it struck me, right? Because that's a form of ducking, right? That I've been doing, right? Where look, when I came, I was in the computer room. I walk out of the school. As I'm walking out of the school, right? I see him sitting right there, right? He's in the front. But I'm like, let me just walk past this person because I know that they're not all there. I can look at them and tell. You know what I'm saying? And then it's just some things where it's like, look, if you from New York, right, and you look, close to my age, and I don't know you, I've never seen you before, or that's kind of suspect. And I'm not saying that I've seen everybody, but I'm saying I never saw you ever before in the whole of, because I'm not a corner of the city kind of person. He said, Jews feel like I know all the pressure points. Now, look, that's what I'm saying, though. But you talk all this stuff about pressure points and, you good at violence. Bro, this is not a game. They be aware of that, right? Right? That we are a group of men, women, and children for one common cause. What is that common cause? Violence? See, just because it says one common cause, it ain't say what it is. You said you seen. All right, look, VC Realm, we gotta come back to that. We gotta we gotta come back to that, because recently, like I said, we'll come back to that. Because I mean, what are you trying to say? That somehow Islam is involved? Because you're saying change your life. Because I'm saying what goes on in Dubai, I don't know if you heard about Dubai. I don't know. I don't know if you heard about over there, but that could be that's not necessarily a good sign right there. Not saying it's a bad sign, but it's not necessarily a good sign. Right, Phil G. That's what I'm saying. You come up and say peace, and then the next thing you say is I'm real good at violence. But just say that to say that, see, God, listen, see, me ducking allowed him to be ducking for a minute. But here's the thing, right? There was a whole bunch of brothers that was there. There's a whole bunch of brothers that was there, right? And uh, you know, it was like that was one of the lessons because he had been around talking, he was having different conversations with different brothers for a minute. And that was the first time he decided to say something to me. So see, really, when I asked him if he knows the day supreme mathematics, like I said, from when I first seen him, I knew he didn't know it. And so, I was using that to get rid of him. And then, everybody who was there, they caught on to like, oh, snap, yo, we've been trying to get rid of this dude. But yeah, see, you keep allowing these people to be around, man. See, we allow these people to be around. Wait, what's going on here? I'm trying to I didn't see the last comment you made. Jamie said she went right back to Savage. Listen, man, you know, the thing is, look, and this for me, and this is part of what I'm saying right now, man. See, the things what I'm saying, this is why I don't like fake 5%. See, this is why we be, especially it's like and people see that happens. See, everything seems all party move, everything seems all party move, and then we be like, yo, man, I see they agree. And see, people think like, oh, we just being party poopers and we fucking up. But see, nah, 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 nah. See, now's the time we need to know who you are. See, because we could all be here right now, and then let's say we like, all right, look, it's this move right here that we can make, positive for whatever reason. See, we need to already know you weak link. See, we need to know that right now, you just agreeing with us, right? Everything we saying, yeah, peace, God, yeah, that's peace, God. But see, you go to church. But see, right now, you agree with all the signs because we got them things sparked up. Because you gotta remember, look, in 25,000 years of history, a lot of shit is gonna happen, G. The good, the bad, the ugly, and the beautiful, G. Every possible scenario is gonna play itself out. You know what I'm saying? That's just the law of averages. I mean, look, VC realm, I just, I don't know what's going on, but I just know that Dubai is Dubai. It's you know, uh, if your significant other says she wants to go on vacation in Dubai, I advise you to go with her. That's, you see what I'm saying? You see, these 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 she King me something is affecting your mind. You see, these people, what I'm saying is that all of that, it adds up to those questions, right? You know, everybody who didn't get the hey, look, Kimmy, that's y'all the one who got I I told y'all to attention. But look, anybody who gets the knowledge, right? I guess at least at a certain time, right? Couple things run past your mind, right? That, what if I had the knowledge even younger than I got it, right? That's one of the things that crosses your mind when you first coming into the knowledge, right? And you see the greatness and the glory of supreme mathematics and all, right? You know, Another thing that runs through your mind, right, is you know, how could some things be, right, and some things not be? You know what I'm saying? Meaning, you know, brothers have all this knowledge, right? All this wisdom, all this understanding, right? You know, then how can, why certain things the way they are? How can some things be, right? And how can some things not be? And that's what it is. You know what I'm saying? It's yeah, it's the bullshitters, right? The religious zealots amongst us, right? But it's also those who, you know, those of us who, uh, we try to take a break, which that's another thing too, right? Which is that, as you get older, right, your understanding grows. So see, that's another good thing about them. See, the babies, they don't have that kind of understanding of nuance. See, I was 16, 17. You either knew your lessons or you didn't. There's no, you know, I got brain trauma and I don't hear none of that. You either know your lessons, you don't know them, I beat it. Wait, what's X, Y, and Z, VC, right? You see, you see what happens when you hit a certain age, people start using slang. People start using slang. You don't know. You don't know. You don't know what the new slang is. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, see, when you get, because look, I tell people that, look, when you meeting a lot of the older brothers now, right? You're meeting great grandparents. You're meeting people that, you know, they didn't went through the whole cycle, right? You know what I'm saying? And, they're in a different mindset. When I met these people, they was in the street. They wasn't taking, was no shorts. Like I said, there's things that you could go on the internet and learn all the details. There's things that I learned the details of on the internet. Like I've been knew about, the science of that happening, but I didn't know the details. They put the who, what, where, when, why, how on the internet now. Like when I got the knowledge and you asked about certain history, brothers would tell you, listen, ain't no statute of limitations. Savory things, all right. XYZ is unsavory. Let's leave it. Let's leave it. Let's leave it where it's at then. You know what I'm saying? Which I mean, well, let's stick to our time. Let's stick to our time. Maybe we could deal with that later. I see that y'all leaning towards yeah, leaning towards the direction there, I'm talking about certain things, you know. But like I said, look, let's not, maybe it is that time. Let's not beat it into the ground. Because see, like I said, you know, I don't want to be preaching to the choir. Million Eric Adams. Look, Eric Adams, how's he doing these days? He's doing real black. He's doing real black. Uh, they kicked him out of the Democratic Party, you know, not in that formal of a fashion, but the Democrats is backing, they're not endorsing him for uh, his reelection campaign. And uh, so he's running again as an independent. You know what I mean? So between him speaking out against the Biden administration about what was going on in New York about the migrants, right? And then him getting a pardon about the whole thing from Trump, right? Right now they've let him know that you know, you're 48 shades. you you're about 39 shades too dark for that shit that you're trying right now. So what more what more what more do they have to do? What more do they have to do to you for you to see that you're not down? Like that happens. Look, I see stuff like that in the gang world, right? Where like they make this person do all types of gopher shit. They beat them up and shit, and it's like, yo, how much do these people have to do to you? how much how much do these people have to do to you before you realize you're not down? They don't like you. You know, he said he just opened the Office of Anti-Semitism. I saw it in the news earlier this morning. He politicking as usual. He's not trying to see Cuomo as mayor. Well, look, that's who they trying to bring on. You know what I'm saying? I mean, for the jump, he came in, right? Uh, just he forgot the lesson, man. The lesson that we all, if you was at least before, I don't know if they still do it, but I was still in that age group where, look, for the minute when you go to school, right, from the time once your they let you know, like they didn't sign all the papers, you got a class to show up to, you definitely gonna be there. They let you know, look, you're gonna have to do twice as good to get half as much. There's certain people that's not going to like you, and they're gonna be trying to hold you back. You can't let them stop you. You know, they have advantages that you're not going to have. You can't do the stuff that they do, and not considering them things. You understand what I mean? Now, don't get me wrong. You know, I'm already starting from and just in terms of this topic, I guess what you could call the cynical mindset, right? Because I don't think that, I'm already coming from the concept, right? That they're not going to make him a full part of their social equality. That's already the point where I'm coming from. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, that's constantly what he wanted to be doing is rubbing elbows, and you could tell that uh, he wanted all of the uh, the kind of bonuses, the perks that come with being the mayor. You know what I'm saying? You want to go to the Met Gala and all of this stuff. And it's like, you know, look, when things is going good or whatever, that looks good, but things start going bad. You know what I'm saying? And with the stuff that he did, right? The stuff that he got indicted for, I'm saying in the grand scheme of New York City politics, that stuff was laughable. Like if he had got convicted and went to jail, it's other politicians that have been laughing at him. Like that's all the money. That's you you in here for that little chump change? What you got a picture frame? You in here you in here for receiving a picture frame? Man, that's what you got busted for. And he got busted for, I don't know about every state, but in New York, that's pretty much business as usual, meaning that they can spin a bottle and whatever politician that bottle is pointing to, they can find stuff like that. They can find stuff like what he got indicted for, I'm saying, and much, much worse. I mean, you got to remember, look, our governor, the governor of New York State went to jail for soliciting prostitution or something. I don't know if he went to jail, but that's what happened to him. Yeah, that's what happened. I'm saying that there's a lot of things that happens in New York. Say Eric should listen to. Hey, look, I mean, it's not, brothers have been in contact with him. You know what I'm saying? He hasn't been hostile or anything. You know what I mean? But just, you gotta be aware. Like, see, look, everything that he's dealing with, right? And like I said, it would be fair for people to talk, for people to say that, okay, I already come from a cynical mindset, right? But God, when you look at all the degrees, you know what I'm saying? You making it into orientation. See, but you let them reverse the game on you, right? And you went under the studies, and now you've learned that they can't be reformed. That's that's how I would have seen it from the day inauguration day. If he would have asked me for my advice, right, I would have told him that. And see, not for nothing, because of what happened before, right? Where he's the second black man, right? We had David Dinkin, and see, I see what happened with that. I don't think he didn't look at that, but it was kind of the same thing. He didn't get the criminal stuff, right? But he was scapegoated for all of the for all of the he was scapegoated for all of the problems that have been going on in New York City since the 1960s. Like various things that happened, you know, uh, that's when Al Sharpton was making his name. So you had a lot of racial things going on in the city, but those things really happened. You know, they really killed that brother. They chased his brother across the highway, and we found out later that he was a 5% over there in Howard Beach. You know what I'm saying? You had this situation where the the kid in Crown Heights, I can't remember his name. I know the dude that hit him was Yanko Rosenbaum. You know what I'm saying? Like these was things that was happening. You know what I'm saying? And they happened under Dinkins, uh, under Dinkins administration. You know what I'm saying? So Michael Griffin, that was I remember that name too, but I can't recall exactly what he was into. And then look on the other side, look, you had the Central Park 5 thing, the Central Park 6, whatever. Yeah, that was Dinkins. You know, it was a whole bunch of stuff that really didn't have nothing to do with his leadership. You know what I'm saying? And in reality, it was him that signed the laws. It was him that authorized all those new police. Oh, Michael Griffin? Nah, but his name was Seaguy. So they got chased across the highway. Fat Prince, Fat Prince came to the rally and said that he seen him a couple of minutes before that. Fat Prince that used to wear the jury in the velours. No, Yusef Hawkins was Bay Ridge. See all these names that's what I'm saying. All of this stuff was happening during that time. You know what I'm saying? And he became the perfect scapegoat for it. You know, but like I said, he was the one that signed, he was the one that authorized all those new police to come onto the force. And Giuliani happened to be there. Giuliani happened to be in office by the time those first classes graduated. So it made it look like he brought all those police, but really it was Dinkins. You know, he just used them in a way that Dinkins wasn't prepared to use them. Yeah, Fat Prince. Now Diallo was Giuliani already. But you know, he'll be all right. You know what I'm saying? Look, uh, the only problem he has right now is let's say ultimately, if there's a case against Trump, right? Somehow he could come back up in that case. Like if they say, look, whatever, Trump pardoning you or whatever was corrupt or whatever, maybe you did some quid pro quo or something, right? Something like that could come up. But other than that, he'd be all right. Yo, Infinite, it's funny because I was getting ready to call the subject brother too. You know, uh, with these various pages, because today's a rant day. I don't know how long you've been on. With these various pages, some people got to start putting disclaimers on their videos. Like if you see, how when you watching what's your name and it say this person views does not reflect the views of this channel or this program or this company or whatever it is. Because otherwise, I mean, uh, we get into this thing again where it's like, yeah, see, we got it's just what about showing improving? Like if anybody could just, make wrong statements, then anybody gotta be free to address those wrong statements. And then once we doing that, it starts to kind of descent. You see, you know, that's another thing that I could say, like, look, people need to start being able to show and prove what they got on their channel. Because, you could play the internet game, right? Where they like, well, look, we're not responsible for what people post on their what's the name. We're not responsible for what everybody put on their YouTube channel. Like that's actually a law that was passed that social media, like without that law, there can be no social media. That even if like certain things, the certain pages where you go, like let's say the music industry, right? This applies in particular where you got people that they got uh, a directory, right? But they don't actually store the music on their servers. So then they're not bootlegging, right? You got to find the people who's actually storing that on their servers. You know what I'm saying? So by the same token, you could say, well, this video right here, that person said what they said, but I got it from you. See, somewhere down the line, because some of the stuff I be hearing, I hear it's a video. That's what I got it. I hear it's a video where somebody says that this knowledge started in 1965. Now I'm just saying, Infinite, I need input from you right here, right? How do we deal with that? Like freedom of speech, freedom of expression, all these various things. How do we deal with that with somebody who's a 5%, having somebody else come on their channel who's supposed to be a 5%, and saying that the knowledge started in 1965? I don't know if somebody tried to call me right there, right? But how do we deal with that? Somebody, so King Lee said correct them in the comments. Now, I don't think that's sufficient. Right. That certainly has to be corrected, right? But this is what I'm saying, right? Why we don't got a system, you understand what I mean? We like, all right, we came on, right? Now we done lived our history to where we know things that go right and we know things that go wrong. Now I'm saying I know it could be, some things that's a little more complex. But we talking about something as simple as somebody saying that Nas was born in 1965. Like there has to be something. See, because see, look, if people always say I'm funny about that, but God, listen, to me, you're not qualified. To me, you're not qualified to be, see, we do all this stuff in our house, you know what I'm saying, or in whatever room that we in. But it's people that came on the channel from uh Hungary, uh uh Southeast Asia, Japan, Canada. You understand what I'm saying? So you being a beacon of certain things. And I'm from that time. I'm from the time where, look, your money ain't no good, bro. If you don't know what this flag means, you ain't getting no flag. You ain't getting no T-shirt with the flag on it. You ain't getting no hat with the flag on it. Like it was just certain things where, look, you need to know how to show and prove what you're saying to be talking about that. And what I'm saying is that, just like I started off this live saying with people ducking, right? You want the glory, but you don't want the accountability, right? So now this is something that's changed because of the internet, right? Because we see for me it's different because y'all know where I'm at, right? But this ain't I'm saying like back in the time, everybody was like that. We know where you go to school at. We know where you live at. We know what park you play ball at. So it's certain things that it's like, okay, you know, self-I said most channels aren't concerned with truth. They are focused on likes, views, traffic towards their content. Truth is irrelevant to a lot of them. Gossip is at the forefront, not actual facts. Yeah, but this is what I'm saying. Is that that's a world. See, when we got this knowledge, right? This universal knowledge, right? This. But see, we in the world with it, and now that's the thing. Is that world right? Because yeah, you got to live in that world. You got to apply yourself in that world. But is the application of how you apply yourself in that world changing the idea? The idea is not the idea no more. See, it's like, you go out there to destroy the devil, right? But then you get caught up in death, hell, and destruction. And that becomes your way of doing things. So, uh, I mean, somewhere down the line, right? At least for myself, right? It's like, look, it's got to be some endorsements, man. I don't know how we gonna do it, but look, some people need a blue check mark, G, and so people could tell. Because she, like I said, when the knowledge was lived out in public, that's how somebody found out. Meaning, like, look, you could have somebody around your block and they claiming to be the God, right? But eventually, you run your block out, you claim to be God, and y'all up there at the pizza shop, and some brothers come through, right? Some brothers come through, they got their crowns and their flags on. And now when you see this brother who, he's been the king of the guys around the block, right? But now you see him with the big fish, and you're like, wait a minute. See, the people consist of, wait a minute, all this time you ain't know what you was talking about. See, when some brothers that really knew what they was talking about, all of a sudden, see, even the fact of being in the world, not just necessarily to say, you get in cyphers where you don't know your degrees, but you're living your life and people are seeing how you're coming out. You know what I'm saying? They seeing if you coming off in a way where they can say, yo, it must be something about that knowledge because he's not getting caught up in the rain. See, he's making rain, hailstorm, earthquake, right? And I'm bringing it. I need to get with him. You see, on the internet, that never comes into play if you just on the internet. See, like, look, see, I come on the internet, right? And I say certain things, right? And then what I'm saying is that the people could come and then you could judge it. See, now look, that's what I'm saying. Look, not everything that I do, it comes out 100%, but that can be that can be analyzed, right? That if it wasn't 100%, look, I can correct that. I can deal with corrections with that, right? I can elevate that, right, and make it better and better. But I'm saying that if I'm just only saying the stuff on the internet, and then there's never no day where you come in and say, like, oh, all right, yeah, this is. See, these are some things which you have to be aware, right? That look, we are culture inside of the society. You know what I'm saying? And it's a lot of different ways that you see it, right? Like for instance, look, I can pretty much look at somebody. I can look at the clothes they got on. I can look at their hairstyles. Uh, I can look at their kicks. You know what I'm saying? It's various things I can look at people and kind of tell, what era you from when you got the knowledge. Like if you got it in the 60s or the 70s or the 80s or the 90s, I can tell. And one of the reasons I could tell is because of the stuff that was of the world, right? When you was in your prime, that you still doing. But it's one of the things where look, you know, this is the guy you just say that listen, when you go out there, right, you the five and they the 85. right? Now, when you go out there in the world, you got to you got to be as the people amongst the people, right? But you doing that in order to take the eight off of their five, right? But see, you could go over there in their world and take the eight off their five and put it in front of yours. So you got to be aware of that. Like, look, if you look, this a this a this a this a I don't know what we call it. This is, but look, this is one of the things that he was talking about what he was talking about, right? But he's punching them, and I'm Darkim, right? So this things get drawn up, right? But at the time, he was just giving me a story. He was just telling me, not he wasn't giving me a story. He was telling me the science of pigeons, right? He was telling me, one of the science of pigeons, right? And he flew pigeons. That was his thing, right? That was one of my jokes. Called, but look, it was like three or four other people that also had pigeons, right? And if you know anything about pigeons, like that's a part of it. Like they battle back and forth. You know what I'm saying? Like when that guy flies his pigeons, right? Somebody else fly their pigeons and in hopes that some of their pigeons will get confused and then fly back with the other pigeons, right? And just over the time, you know, like I might see him, you know what I mean? Like, yo, man, cat over there, you know what I'm saying? He got some of my birds, right? And that was the only thing that I ever seen happen to him. And he was like just kind of, calm about it. It wasn't, like he'd be talking about it, but it wasn't like he'd ever be like, yo, man, wait till I catch some motherfucking. He just, they would just go back and forth. Like the next day, they'd fly more birds. Sometimes his birds would come back. And when they come back, they'd come back with some of the birds from the other guy. So it was like a back and forth thing. And, uh, I just never seen him get upset about the people taking his birds. You know what I'm saying? And he wasn't the type of person to not get upset about people taking stuff from him. You know what I'm saying? So, I just, I looked at the game, but I did always notice that he was like all the anger in the universe, he would direct at street pigeons. Like if street pigeons came on the roof, he didn't let them get away. Like he didn't shoot them away. He beat them in the head. You know what I'm saying? And so to me, it's like I don't understand this. Like why you beat the bird in the head just for landing, and then this dude over here, he's you battling back and forth for him taking your birds, and it's nothing, right? So one day he tells me basically why that is, right? And he said that his pigeons, right, they was born on the roof. They was bred on the roof, everything. So he was like, see, my birds, they don't even know that the garbage is food. Like right now, if I didn't feed them and those other what's the names, they'll just die of starvation because uh they only know how to eat here at the coop. And he said, but if my birds go with those pigeons, he said if my birds, if my pigeons go down there with those street pigeons for 2 weeks, he's like, they no good no more. He's like, once they go down there and they show them all this other stuff that they can eat. He said, that's it. I can't even, he's like, I can't even bring them back up here. There's no retraining them. There's no nothing. Once they go down there, right? That's it. Savage. You know. And so, he's just telling me the story. He's telling me the story. He's telling me the sign. He's just telling me about the birds. Like we just talking. But of course, I'm drawing this shit up, right? So I'm just saying that that little science right there, even though it was just a conversation about the pigeons, it applies in a lot of places, man. It applies in a lot of places, man. You see what I'm saying? And that's what I'm saying. Saying all that to say, right, is let's say it for myself, right? I don't want to come on the internet, right? And these street pigeons on here, right? These street pigeons on here cause me to forget my culture. Cause me to forget my culture that look, man, there's certain things that we do and certain things that we don't do. And that is a part of the definition of culture. Where you can see various people, like look, Asian people make pasta, right? Italian people make pasta. Now the Italians got it from the Asians, but I'm just saying that they have different dishes. The culture is something specific. It's the knowledge and wisdom and understanding that applies to a particular cipher. See, like, look, food is a part of culture. But like I tell people, look, if I go to an Italian restaurant and they give me the best Chinese food I ever had, it's still horrible Italian food. And see, that's what I be telling people in terms of, look, you can live here. I don't give a fuck what you do. See, the problem comes when you start misidentifying whatever it is you want to do, right, with this culture. That's where the problem comes in at, right? When you think that you're gonna reform, you're gonna reform the United States Congress, right, by inviting Putin in. You're gonna invite Putin in to introduce all the principles that they use in the Kremlin to reform the United States Congress. I don't know which government you be down whoever you want to, but I'm just saying, do that make sense? Do that seem like something that's cool, or do that seem like that's pretty much an act of war? That's where the issues come in at. So I'm saying with a lot of things in the world, we got to be aware, especially because of the fact of this, guy, right? For many of us, right? I don't know everybody who's tuned in right now, right? But for a lot of us, you got to remember, we came out the 85 world. You know how easy it is for you to slip back? See, especially, I mean, for me, I had knowledge so long now that certain things I don't even recall how to do that. I don't recall, certain things in the 85 world I never experienced because I was too young when I got the knowledge, and then I never, that wasn't right exact or whatever. So I never got a chance to do that. But people who's getting the knowledge 25, 35, 45, you know how easy it is for you to slip back into that? Because look, like I said, it's been a while now, but I recall when look, you got to come in the corner store, right, in the bodega, and sometimes you've been so used to eating this thing right here that you all the way at the counter. God is like, yo, God, what the fuck is you got? You're like, oh shit, God, oh shit, God, I forgot. This ain't right exact. I've been there. I remember one day, God, we walking down the street, right, and the guy had some chips and shit, right? He was like, yo, God, with some chips and shit. So I'm eating the chips, God. Then I remember, and as I'm eating the chips, I'm noticing that, damn, these some good ass chips, man. Then I realized I'm fasting. I'm supposed to be fasting. And that's why the chips taste like steak. See, that's how easy it is to slip back in. You understand what I mean? When you're not fully immersed, man. When you're not using the elements of this culture, man. Right? You don't know your lessons. You ain't building with people, whether it's your brothers or people in the atmosphere or whatever. The stuff you consuming, right? From I'm talking about all the senses, right? Like you got the sense of taste, right? You consume some shit on that. You got sight, sound, all the stuff you consume, right? When you ain't doing that mathematically, that's how easy it is for you to slip back, right? And this how you know a nigga didn't mean to slip back. Cause they come with that, yeah, I gotta renew my history. See the brothers who's honest, you know what they say, God? Yeah, God, I strayed away for a minute. I strayed away for a minute, God. But that ain't work out for whatever reason. And now I'm back to do my thing. That slipping back is where they comfortable at. Yeah. That's what they call the church backsliding. It's easy to backslide. listen, listen. It's all one day at a time. The same way you could do one day at a time, right? And know 120 lessons in 120 days. You could do it one day at a time, right? And forget 120 lessons in 120 days. All you got to do is don't build, right? Don't build one day, then don't build the next day, don't build the next day, don't build the next day. The next thing you know, you out here talking about you got to renew your history. Okay, we got to explore this one right here. Mark Radix, you've been commenting for a minute. I had some things I need to talk about. I didn't want to get too caught up. But you just put something I need to we need to explore this. You said running water is running water never goes stale. See, when you put that there, that reminds me of why that stands out. It reminds me of something my grandfather told me years ago that flowing water purifies itself every 30 feet or something like that. I think he said 30 feet, meaning that let's say if something died in a river up there, right, and you went 30 feet downstream, that because the water was running, that that water would be safe. That water would be safe to drink. Is that what you're talking about? See, not for nothing. I like shit like that. That type of survival. I don't know if you're into that. But I used to watch Doomsday Preppers and all of that. I like that kind of stuff. The knowledge stays in motion, you'll never go still. That's the most important thing right there, to tell the truth, is keeping the knowledge in motion. You can sit there and read it and read it and read it and read it, right? But that's not the same as using it. Just for, in terms, not even taking to a complex level, but just in terms of keeping it on cap, right? Just in terms of keeping it on cap, right? You would do better quoting 120 lessons than reading it over and over. Like, see, I know people that got the paper at their house and can't quote it. But I know people that could quote it and don't actually have a copy of the lessons presently. But because they've been quoting it for decades, they got it on cap. But you see people walking around with the book of life in their hand and don't know. Yeah, I heard, listen, look, let me tell you how funny this shit has got. Let me tell you how funny this shit has got. Well, I heard some shit that, look, in all the history of our God, I ain't never heard no shit like this before. Brother A walks up to Brother B. Brother A walks up to Brother B and says, "Ask how you see a degree." So Brother B starts quoting the degree. So Brother A says, "You sure that's what it says?" So Brother C, right, who's built with Brother B multiple times and knows that Brother B actually knows the degree, says to Brother B, "Yo, look, Brother B, take your time." So Brother B quotes the lesson, right? And Brother A says, "You sure that's it?" And Brother B says, "Yeah." And Brother A says, "Hold on." Goes in his pocket and pulls out the lessons. And then says, "Yeah, that's right." We can stop the show right there. We can stop the show right there. Now look, I've seen person A as person B the lesson, and person B pulled out the degrees. But I ain't never seen person A as person B the lesson. That was listen, I wasn't there. Self Bill. You know I couldn't have been there. Cause see, if I would have been there, you know how to did it. You know how to did it. Listen, it would have been a fight. Fuck it. Because see, listen, first of all, this 5% shit. Look, listen, fuck the police. I listen. Let me tell you something, man. If that shit would have happened in front of me, I would have took the lessons out of the person A's hand, right? I took these lessons and I said, now you go get the knowledge from person B. Get the knowledge from brother B. Because you want to get some lessons now, go to brother B. That's where I mean, look, I mean, at that point, uh, misunderstanding has reached its zenith. Some of the things, I mean, look, it's just it is what it is, man. Like, see, look, we not here, you know, we you know, we strengthen the weak. But at the same time, part of qualifying, man, is, for this, at least for right now, right, is being able to, you gotta see, you can't make this walk and talk like that. You can't make this walk and talk like that, man. See, I don't know about the other areas, right? But in New York, Jehovah Witness is big. And when I first got the knowledge, uh, you know, I was under the impression the Jehovah Witness come to my house, right? So, I got a couple lessons by now and shit. You know what I'm saying? My sword is sharp. And let me bomb these Christians, man, these Jehovah Witness come to my house, right? And that was one of the things is that see they got to go in their books and all that. Hold on, let me go in the book over here. I got everything on cap. So see, just that alone, right? Just being able to, you know, being able to make it move. See, now I could draw up understanding. When you just reading it, you looking at it mostly just literally. And for the most part, that's not what it means. At least not right now. Not the application in this day and time. Those people that is talking about, those people died 1,000 years ago. If you want to say they really existed, it's the lessons that they learned through their life that's supposed to be being passed down through the various books. Those Jehovah Witnesses, they used to bug me out though because I was under the impression that I was bombing them. They felt like we was doing Bible study. They used to come. Look, what it was these two ladies came one time, right? I go out in the hallway and bomb them. After that, they used to come back with their whole family. Like the whole hallway before little kids. Like, they used to come, they got all their books and everything. Be like, yeah, we want you to can you Bible study with us? Yeah. Did I offer them water? Nah, I wasn't that age yet. I'm still young, like 16, 17. This is just some get away from my door type of thing. That's in my mind, that's what I'm communicating with them. But to them, that was the best stuff they ever heard about the Bible ever. I had this other dude, he's following me. Like, he's he's at the door. So I tell him, look, man, I gotta get ready to go someplace. I close the door, I come outside, he's still outside of the hallway. He's following me all up the block. He's got his Bibles, everything shut. She's like, yo, for your age, you have tremendous powers of reason. But see, all that really is having everything on cap, right? And knowing how to use supreme mathematics and supreme alphabet, right? And not taking things on face value. It's the basic stuff that you learn here, right? If you use that, right? If you use that, you'd be successful. See, what happens is a lot of times we try to cut the corners with some street shit. And we think because we know mathematics while we did something else that is still supposed to work out. Mark Raddick says, on the real, I feel like it in a certain aspect that makes me feel like I'm stealing from you in a way to get and understand it, or you might feel that way as well. Now look, Mark Raddick, that that's not it's not a real estate channel or none of that. But I'm just telling you that if you're feeling guilty, right, the 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 Cash App is pinned to the top of the comment box. If you're feeling guilty, right, and you feel like you want to deal in equality with it, Cash App is right there. 'Cause I don't want you to feel guilty. That's not why we do this. So really, man, you know, I got my rand in, what I'm saying? I put the what's your name in there, that's just like we're gonna go back to the what's your name. You know what I'm saying? I keep see we haven't had all this stuff because I'm using Zoom. You know what I'm saying? And I'm using Zoom because you know, I was inviting, I've invited, several individuals, you know, to come on the channel. Everybody's a builder until it's time to build. I'm going on Zoom because I'm thinking that you ready to build how you be talking. See, yeah, they're showing improving. It's being able to show improve uh the 57,255,000 square miles of land, right? You could go through the useful land, the deserts, the hills and the mountains, the ice cap lands, right? You see, there's also showing and proving that you the maker and the owner, showing and proving that you are who you say you are. And see, everybody's a builder until it's time to build. See, beware of the very fine line that exists between showing and proving and showing and telling. See, I'll tell you something, Najee told me. Najee, years, months, and days ago, decades ago, I don't even remember what was the whole topic, but whatever it was, Najee said, see, you can't really prove nothing by talking. This is this is this is the signs where people say that look, how you know you really got if you ain't even tested, if you ain't never really tested that. And then when we get to the test, and this is what we see, this is what I'm saying. Now look, and look, after this, we open up the questions. Mark Radix, you becoming a little bit destabilized. But anyway, get back to what I was saying, right? Is that see now we deal with the this is the type of what I'm saying, showing and proving, right? See, word is bond. See, regardless to whom or what. See, that's about being who you really are, no matter what is the challenges and what is the consequences of being who you really are. It don't got nothing to do with if you said there's two cookies in the jar, that is really two cookies in the jar. I mean, yeah, that's related. It's related. You see, I'm gonna tell you the difference, right? If I said it was two cookies in the jar, right? When I seen it, and then in between the time I seen it and you seen it, somebody else went in there and ate one of the cookies. See, that can happen. And I didn't lie. I made a statement that was consistent with what I knew to be true. See, a lie is a statement made with the intention to deceive. So see, my word is still my word. See, that's a difference from if I say that I'm two cookies and then I turn out just to be one cookie. The light battery died out. That's what people got to show and prove. But we got any questions, man? I'm gonna go check out, man, these other teams that, I mean, look, somebody's gotta lose. So, you got some other teams I'm gonna be watching them, you know. I'm I'm gonna watch the other teams, just on GP. Lord Shalom, what's the sign? You missed a good one today. Yeah. But uh we it's open right now. We got any questions? We got any last questions before we wind this down? Tomorrow we're gonna be back on. Like I said, with this live stream right here, look, Shalom can tell you. Shalom was telling the people how I actually had this live stream in mind. I wanted to do it for a couple of days. But, when I first wanted to do it, I was so hyped. I had to take a couple of days to remind myself that I'm civilized and righteous. I had to take a couple of days off to remind myself that I'm civilized and righteous so that, I could calmly get my idea across. Because at the end of the day, this rally, I mean this rally, this live was just in reference to people who choose themselves, right? You choose yourself for something you're not qualified to handle. And see that, and like I said, these is mathematical principles of life. It ain't just don't just apply to the knowledge, right? And see, look, just like you got people that you go out there, right, and you do all that crime, but you ain't prepared or qualified to deal with the consequences of your actions. So what you do? You do the same thing these cats did. You start saying other people's name. It's not my fault. It's these other people. It was the rich brother Akbar from the bank. It was the devil. The devil made me do it. That's what's going on these days, right? Cats want to step up and forget that that first step is a doozy. So we don't have. I guess we had another one of those instances where I like to say people that's new to the channel. I like to say that when I build, my wisdom is so crystal clear that there's never any questions. That's the way I like to look at it. So that being the case, Fortunately for me, I cooked earlier. So right now I just gotta warm up. Just gotta warm up. Got uh some rice and beans and some chicken in there. Get a little quick snack. See what's going on with these games. You know what I'm saying? Other than that, look, I'm gonna see if I could do it. I'm gonna see, because I know I've been on a little spree, but it's not me. Stuff keeps happening. This stuff keeps happening. You know what I mean? But look, what we're gonna do is we're gonna try to just go straight from the survival scrolls. We're gonna go straight from the survival scrolls. You know what we should do? We're gonna go back to the beginning because y'all know how we do. Sometimes we up in the 140 and all of that, and we building on things up there. But then sometimes we got to come back down to drink, man, and deal with some simple math. I like to deal with the alphabet and the 1 to 36 a lot of times because math is so universally applicable. Like the guy said a minute ago. You know, uh, the alphabet and the 1 to 36 a lot of times is not as used by a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? People they not as comfortable uh you know being able to draw the lessons up out of the alphabet and the 1 to 36. You know, you know, even look, 32 to 40. People have a little bit more difficulty drawing those up, just like in general when people is building, a lot of times you don't hear them referring to those degrees. Supreme man. Yeah, I mean we winding down right now. You know what I'm saying? We just you know, we today's live was about people that be ducking, people that be ducking when it's time to show and prove that they the owner. You know what I'm saying? Like people make these statements and they do things, right? And you chose yourself for that. As you know, those that's chosen chose themselves. Leonore Silver, peace, right? Those who choose themselves, but now, you know, you got to stand that square. So, like for instance, I was telling, somebody the example, like, see, you a homeowner, right? Now you a homeowner when it's 18 degrees outside and the heat is pumping, right? But you also the homeowner when the pipes bust. And see what we seeing right now is that a lot of people, they not the owner when things go wrong. And the only reason for you to think that ain't nothing ever gonna go wrong is that you religious and you under the impression that when you got the knowledge, you walk through the pearly gates and Jesus took the wheel. A lot of people, it's like, you know, they think that the test was when somebody asked you a degree, right? Moose Ark said one good thing about streaming being accessible to anyone, schizophrenia is now a spectator sport. I mean, I'm not sure if you're calling me schizophrenic right there, but I agree with your statement. there's a lot of things that, yeah, and I think that's kind of messed up because you kind of participating in people crashing and burning. Yeah, right. They deal with the Gregorian calendar, right? 31 days, that's it. When you get to 32 to 40, right? People don't. And man say, yeah, the owner is big. It means to stand on your principles, regardless to whom or what you say or what you do has to be one motion. Indeed. And see, you hit the word, and what I mentioned earlier too, when you said regardless to whom or what, you know what I'm saying? So you say you the maker and the owner, but it's not regardless to whom or what because it's not when shit hits the fan. It's only when you hearing praise. You start to plus one for sense of humor. Yeah, Musa, look, I don't think I'm schizophrenic, but I am a little bit, you gotta break these things down for me, honestly. Who has the sense of humor, me or you? Not sure. Yeah, these is all the words: accountability and responsibility. Yeah, I'm saying, a lot of people just don't want to deal with that, man. Like, people is to me, these things is just these is normal things, right? Uh, the look, don't bite off more than you could chew. The bigger endeavor that you try, the more people that you try to, organize and form into some type of unit, right? The bigger the accountability and responsibility becomes. You see, if you got kids, right, you remember, look, when you going somewhere, you by yourself, right? You may take all types of risks. But now you got your kids with you. Now the accountability and responsibility goes up. Moose art. Yeah, I do my best, Moose art. And so that's what I'm saying. It's like, yeah, when you sitting in your house and you experiment with different ideas, right? Whatever the ideas is, you just considering different things, right? That's one thing. But you get up in front of a whole nation, you get on the internet and go in front of the whole world, then you've increased the accountability and the responsibility that you have. See, like I said, man, see this internet, it makes you think what you're doing is in private. So I'm building with a brother who lost his job and he didn't want to take accountability with his own actions. But you, but not, but you asked how I strive to get him to see his act so he wouldn't double up on those actions. Yeah, that's the thing. That's the big thing right there. When you can't take accountability, right? And you can't really look, you can't renew the history. You can't renew the history. Instead you're gonna keep the worst part and throw the best part away. The best part, in that situation for him to draw up is that look, he worked at that job or whatever, you know what I'm saying? And that experience, he got that experience of whatever they do at that job, right? And he could move on. And then now, if he know not to do what he did last time, he can be more successful. But if you can't admit that you was wrong, bro, and see, and look, that's why I'm usually, yo, man, why is God still? Because you don't know, you bound to fuck up again. Because when it's time to renew the history, you don't know what to keep the best part for self and what to throw away. And that's why these people is dangerous. That's what I'm saying. That's why this live was about this. I'm telling you, watch these people and see if you know that was their history, right? It might have been before your time. Or it might have been, look, you might have been young then. I'm telling you, when these people come back, make them show and prove, G. Because see, look, even the devil get a chance to clean himself up, but make them show and prove. So that's growth and development. On said, if you don't improve with this knowledge, you ain't one of us. But see, improving is going to require you, in anything that you're doing, it's going to require you to, you know, analyze and understand what is the bad habits that you got that's causing you not to come out right. Or, you know, you can do the religious shit, you have to pray harder. You just, you got to pray harder, you know, demons, principalities is working against you. you know, Duppies. This is what happens to you. Yeah, Moose Ark, leave Moose Ark alone, Supreme. I don't know what he did. This is his first day. Him and Mark Radix. Him and Mark Radix is I'm not sure who they are. But Moose Ark, when you say not very inclusive, that's a 19. That's like a you know. See, uh, I'm not from the everybody gets a trophy era. So exclusive means good to me. It's when something is exclusive, that means it's good. There's some weighing and judging that goes there, right? Like, look, let's say a person hasn't taken a bath, right, in 2 months. And then, you throw in a party, it's all fun. You got everything free food, free drinks, free whatever. And you tell the brother, look, everybody be coming to shut you, man. And then he says, That's not being very inclusive. Is it us that's not being inclusive, or is it him that's not being inclusive? You know, but for me, exclusive is good. Somebody put a comment in there. Let me see something. Let me see if I catch it over here. Somebody put something on. Oh, that's what it was. Uh, you know what? Uh, Lenora, I can't remember. It says Lenora something. Welcome to the channel, by the way. You put pride as a factor. I mean, yeah, I can understand that, but this is what I'm saying. You got to think about that before you do what you do. Like the same way when you leave in your house, right? You fix yourself up. You fix yourself up. You don't go outside with toothpaste dripping down the side of your mouth, stuff all in the corner of your eyes, right? Because you got some pride in who you are and your appearance and how you're moving around, right? You got to take that pride ahead of time. You don't come outside all chopped up, right? And then all of a sudden now your pride, oh, why y'all making fun of me? I'm too proud for you to be telling me the truth. I'm not yelling at you. I'm just saying that's the ridiculousness, right? Of somebody, you letting your pride get in because, like I said, you stepped up and then nobody asked you to do that. So most people run away from mistakes or missteps instead of understanding that it's a learning experience, so that next time you will navigate said cipher properly. Yeah, you know why? Because you done built this bullshit up in people's minds. See, that's why this is not the fucking levitation channel. This is not the channel where we teach that perfection is doing everything right. See, this is the channel where we teach, man, that look, man, good and bad is not good and bad is things that people do. It ain't this person is good, that person is bad. Success and failure, I mean, a person, yeah, if that's what you draw up in your own mind, if you're good or bad, or you draw up in your own mind that you're successful or you're a failure. But you are who you are, and you have these various endeavors, and they're either successful or not, right? And there's reasons why they're successful, there's reasons why you're not successful. But that's what it is. You've built all this shit up in people's minds. The same thing we were saying with the pride, right? Where you've built all this stuff up in people's minds. So now, if I can't shoot a lightning bolt out my shit, I ain't never tell nobody I can shoot a lightning bolt out my finger. This is not the magical channel. I don't teach nothing about no magic. See, I don't teach the alternative history. Or let me tell you something. I wouldn't give a fuck. Like, see, they talk about all that stuff with the Indian. I wouldn't give a fuck if those Indian heads was of white people. I don't need no other magical shit for nobody to tell me, oh, the people in 4,000, the people in 4,000 BC, they could jump on top of the pyramid. And now I need that to be true in order for the black man to be God. No, not for me. You said I got my scan and asked for my CD. That's what some people need. Some people need the smoking gun. See, the science of themselves is not enough. See, they need for it to be some Harry Potter shit. Everything has got to be some journey where you got to go looking for what they call it, Castor John. You looking for the Holy Land, the what you call it, the cup, the Holy Grail, the fountain. And you think all this shit is physical journeys. You need to find this shit outside of yourself, right? Not me. I'm not you. I'm saying the person who has this mindset needs to find something outside of themselves to prove what's inside of themselves. See, I'm not there. See, I'm not going to find nothing out there that's going to show and prove who I am. The only thing that's going to be out there that shows and prove who I am is going to be stuff that came out of me, that I manifested out there. That's why you got to beware of these people, right? Because they're not with us. I'm telling you. Just because they put God at the end of every other sentence does not mean they with us. They can come with all the paraphernalia, head to toe, crowns, buttons, flags, T-shirt. But see, here's the thing. A large part of their existence, right, is that we allowing that shit. Because we not making people have to show and prove, right? We not making people have to show and prove to say that they us. See, is what I'm saying is let's do the knowledge to that before, right? See, the snake stings someone else, stings someone else, stings someone else, stings someone else, right? That's eventually the snake is gonna sting you. See, snake stings someone else and you feel for them, but when it stings you, that brings it home. So at any rate, I'm gonna go ahead and warm up this little bit of food here. You know what I'm saying? You know, anybody that was new, of course, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, the notification so you can know when we go live. This is pretty much mostly a live channel over here. You know what I'm saying? Everybody else that made it this far, do the each one, teach one, hit the like button. And look, do me a favor. Do me a favor, right? In the comments, right, when this video is over, in the comments, put some other topics. Put some other topics that y'all would like me to go to, right? So I can stay away from this rants. You know what I mean? I can stay away from these rants, right? And because look, at a certain point, there's something with that too. Well, look, okay, I know who I'm dealing with now. See, like I said, look, even the devil get a chance to clean himself up, but bro, where's the soap? That's the thing with chances. You gotta you gotta execute on the chance. I give you a chance to do something, you ain't take the chance. So now that we see who they are, let's get back to what we do, right? Which is building on this mathematics. You know what I'm saying? So, hit me with some topics, some questions you might have, or some topics that you might want to see us cover. You know what I'm saying? In the meantime, between time, I'm gonna sign